Naomi was born with the malformation in her arm and hand. And they didn't really necessarily know what it was. They assumed it. They brought in a specialist from a different hospital. She had an ultrasound. I mean, it was kind of a chaotic first 12 hours of her life. And they wanted to do surgery on her arm on a second day of life. And so we declined that because we wanted to know specifically more what it was versus them doing something as invasive as that. We went to the lead plastic surgeon at Presbyterian, and she then at that point was still calling it a cystic hygroma, which is like an old term. And we just went from doctor to doctor for 3 months, and no one was really able to even give us what the correct terminology for it is, which is it's called a lymphatic malformation. So it wasn't until going to maybe 5 doctors that we went to the Vascular Birthmark Institute, where they told us that it's a lymphatic malformation. So it was a long process, and if we had people who aren't familiar with it do surgery on it, like the likelihood that we would have had to have done several follow-up surgeries within like the first few months of her life would have been rather likely. My hopes for Naomi are to have a greater understanding of how to treat lymphatic malformations. At this point, there is no treatment that cures it. Any treatment she has is just going to be continuously repeated. And the idea of her going in and out of hospitals for treatment for the entirety of her life is heartbreaking. So for me, I would like for there to be some sort of treatment, some sort of options for us that has results. Naomi's situation is a lot better than some other kids with lymphatic malformations. I mean, as I was saying earlier, there's kids with malformations in their, optical nerve. There's a girl in Australia whose lymphatic malformation wraps around her heart and lungs. I mean, in these cases, they're life-threatening. I mean, as far as the heart and lungs one. And, that said, this is going to affect her as it continues to grow and affect the mobility of her hand. And the hand is so delicate and intricate, and having this thing continuously growing in her hand, I mean, it's going to have some sort of effect. Dealing with this as a parent, it's just frustrating. It's frustrating that it's her lymphatic system. There's so much attention to the vascular system, which is a major body system, and here's the lymphatic system, which is throughout your entire body, yet they don't really know much about it, and I feel, there's things like lymphatic massage and all these things that it's just, is this going to help her? Is this not going to help her? And it's, always going straight to surgery and these treatments that she's had treatments and it's come back, and it's kind of the rigmarole of it. It's just, when she hits puberty, she's likely to have another, more growth happen, because of the hormones, because she's a girl. If she gets sick, she was sick in December, all of a sudden a new bump showed up, and, the other arm got very tender, and it's just a continuous thing, and it's just frustrating that there's no answers, for a treatment. And I'm not one for wanting to continuously put my child through hospitalizations when it's just going to continue to show up. The breakthrough for us was first finding the Vascular Birthmark Institute, but they have a link for LRF, and then we saw that they had a registry, and it was really interesting to even see that, we could fill out all this information. It's like, wow, there's someone going, let's try and put point A to B and C and figure out where this came from. So I appreciated the registry aspects of it, and then we saw that it was in our hometown, so that also felt like a small godsend to us, so that's how we found Lymphatic Research Foundation. We support Lymphatic Research Foundation specifically because they put an emphasis on the entire lymphatic system, and for us and our experiences from the beginning, it just felt like the lymphatic system was completely ignored by current modern medicine. I know that there's a little bit more in Eastern medicine, but for us, it just felt like everyone we spoke to, there was not a lot of answers when it came down to the lymphatic system. So in whole, the reason why we support Lymphatic Research Foundation is because they give attention towards the entire lymphatic system, and it's been almost completely ignored in current medicine. Yeah, my baby girl.